Good morning, friends. The subject of my talk this morning is experiencing divinity through right action. A long title. In Sanskrit it is called Karma Yoga. That means performing action in such a way that it will help one to experience divinity. So Hinduism is the largest storehouse of scriptures among all the religions of the world. And this is the most ancient living faith. And here in this religion, the word blasphemy is not there. Therefore, all questions about religion and God or divinity can be asked. And answers to all these questions also have been given. So, the subject of my talk is experiencing divinity or experiencing God through right action. Action. Action in Sanskrit is called karma. So the question has been asked in Hinduism. What is karma? What is action? The answer has been given in Sanskrit. Indriyanam vyaparaha karma. Anything in which the senses are involved is called action. Senses. That means we have sense organs. There are 5 sense organs. The eyes, the ears, the nostrils, the tongue and the skin. These are called sense organs. There are 5 in number. And there are 5 motor organs. They are the organ of speech, the organ with the help of which we grab things that remains our hands, and the organ that helps us to go from one place to another, that means our feet, and the organ which helps us to get rid of the digested food which is accumulating in the lower intestine. That means anus. And the organ which helps a person to urinate, that is also a motor organ. 5 motor organs and 5 sense organs. And there is one internal sense organ, which is what we roughly call the mind. Mind along with its ego is the internal sense organ. So thus there are 11 sense organs. Anything in which any or more of these sense organs is or are involved, that is called action. I am thinking now, is it action? According to Hinduism, yes, it is action. Because here the internal sense organ is being used, which is the mind. So thinking is action. So one of the most popular scriptures of Hinduism is the Bhagavad Gita. It contains the essence of the teachings that are there in Hinduism. There is a saying it is said, if you study the Bhagavad Gita, there is no need for you to study any other scripture. And in the Bhagavad Gita there is a saying, let me quote in Sanskrit, Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karmakrit. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit. That means it is impossible for anyone to stay without doing any work. Some of these 11 organs will be involved in doing something or the other. Even the effort not to work turns out to be work. There is a story to illustrate this. In India, a wandering holy man came to a certain village. And the villagers were very happy. The holy man became quite popular also because he had one occult power. By chanting some holy words, he would sprinkle water on a creature such as a cat or a dog. The dog would instantly die. Then by chanting another set of holy words, if you sprinkle water on that dead dog or cat, the dog or cat would become alive. So this power made him very popular. People would come to see him in large numbers. There was a young boy in that village who used to give service to this holy man. He used to fetch water for him to drink and so many other things he used to do for that holy man. After a few days, the holy man said, I am a wandering monk. I am not supposed to stay in one place. So I have to go. And the villagers were unhappy. The holy man said to the young boy, you have served me very well all these days. Ask for any gift which I can give you. Then the boy said, what gift will I ask you to give me? Well, if at all you want to give a gift, then why don't you teach me those holy words with the help of which you can make a live cat or dog dead, and then by chanting another set of holy words, you can revive the lives of those two creatures. Please teach me that. The holy man said, well, I have given you my word, so all right, I will teach you. Then he taught the young man 2 sets of holy words, one to kill and the other one to revive one who is dead to life. And the holy man, before departing, said, you may use these mantras, the holy words are called mantras. You may use these mantras, but be careful about one thing. Never think of a black cat when you are chanting these mantras. The boy said, sir, I am young, but I give you my word that I will never think of a black cat. And when the holy man left, the boy called all other children of his neighborhood and said, I will show you that I have a power. Then the children came and he had a cat, domesticated cat, and he tied that cat to a pole and said, I'll kill this cat and I'll make this cat alive again. And so he chanted the mantra and sprinkled some water on the cat, but nothing happened to the cat. The cat went on mewing. And then he tried the other mantra also. But that was useless because the cat didn't die. So the holy man had not left the village yet. So the young man went to that holy man and said, revered sir, you taught me those mantras, but they didn't work. Then the holy man said, I cautioned you about one thing. I told you, while chanting these mantras, don't think of the black cat. If you think of a black cat, then the mantras won't work. The boy said, sir, all the time when I was chanting the mantra, I said, no, I must not think of the black cat. I must not think of the black cat. And the holy man said, well, while you thought, I will not think of the black cat, actually you are thinking of the black cat. That's why it didn't work. So, even the effort not to work turns out to be work. This story illustrates that. All right. So any action done with the expectation of its fruits, its results, causes attachment to the fruits of such action, and that creates bondage. A person takes $5,000 to a bank and deposits that, and for 6 months at a good interest, dividend. Then unfortunately the bank fails after 1 month. So the money of this man is gone. He is very upset. He is upset because the money which he put in bank was his money and he didn't want to lose it. He was attached to his money. But if the same person be given $10,000 in a small bag and is asked to deliver that to somebody else just 1 mile away, then while walking, a ruffian came and snatched away the bag from this young man's hand. He couldn't do anything. But he didn't miss that money. It was not his money. When he informed about this incident to the person who had given him that bag to carry, that person informed the police and was able to get back that bag from the person who had snatched that bag from that young man. So anyway, he didn't feel bad when the bag was snatched away, bag containing $10,000, because that was not his own money. He was not attached. He was not selfishly involved with that money. So that is called attachment. So any attachment to the fruits of action creates a kind of bondage. There is a story to illustrate this. There was a very good florist in America, and he had a very rich and generous friend. And this florist found a very rare species of rose, and he thought its flowers would be highly prized by people. So he planted that rose plant in his yard. But it would take about 5 or 6 months for the roses to bloom in that plant. And just after he had planted that rose sapling in his yard, his rich friend came to him and said, "I am going on a tour of some places in Europe. Will you accompany me? All expenses will be paid by me. Don't worry about it. We will visit Paris, we will visit Rome, and we'll go to Italy, we'll go to France, and we'll go to Germany. All those countries we shall visit. That will be a wonderful trip. And you don't have to pay anything. I'll pay for all the expenses." But the florist doesn't want to go, because he is attached to the rose plant, and he would have to wait to see that this rose plant grows well and that rare variety of roses will bloom. So his attachment to that rose plant created a bondage for him. He couldn't go to Europe with his friend. So what is, if action produces such results, it produces attachment and so on, then it is very dangerous to act. So in Sanskrit there is a saying, Gahana karmano goti. Every action is very deep rooted. It is not easy to even understand action. So to perform action, a person needs his or her ego. So, is it possible to perform action without selfishness? If it is possible, then that will be called karma yoga. That is the right action, which can enable a person to experience divinity. The owner and the object owned cannot be the same. I am the owner of my physical body. So as the owner, I cannot be my body. In the same way, I am the owner of my sense organs. So as the owner, I cannot be my sense organs. What about my mind? Well, I own my mind, so I cannot be my mind as the owner. But there something has happened. The idea of my individual existence is a thought of my conscious mind, I, or ego. That ego is not allowing me to enjoy the idea that I am the owner and I am different from my mind. If I am different from my mind, what will remain in me? Nothing. Because it is the ego which makes me think that I exist. If the ego is gone, I don't exist as Bhaskarananda or whatever. Do I become nothing? Yes. We become nothing, but we become divinity. Divinity is beyond time, space and causation. So, there is no ego there. We all are divinity. But because of our attachment to certain things which we are not, we don't understand that we are divinity. So one sage just said, that you are all like so many waves in the ocean, infinite ocean. As long as you are attached to your form, wave form, you are a wave. But if your attachment is gone, then you are the ocean. And the ocean is divinity. That's why in a language of India, which is Bengali, there is a saying, Ami molle ghuchibe janjal. That is, all problems will disappear when we get rid of our ego. That's what it said. And when I joined the monastic order more than 65 years ago, then just after a few days, a Swami who was there in that center, his name was Swami Bhaskarananda, he said to me, pointing to my body, he said, or he asked, whose body is that? I said, revered sir, this is my body. Then he said, yes, it used to be your body, but since the day you joined the monastic order, your body has become God's property. It is no longer yours. So through this teaching, he is giving me the secret of how to perform action. This is not my body, it is God's body. So whatever work is being done by this body is God's work. He is teaching me karma yoga actually. So we have to perform action without the ego. And when work is performed with selfishness, it is performed with the help of the ego, because the ego is the cause of selfishness. Therefore, the secret of performing right action is to work not for oneself, but for God. Then one may say, if you work in order to have the experience of divinity, then that is also a desire. So this desire, how can it be good? It must produce some bad effect because it is your desire. But the scriptures say that desire for one's own spiritual enlightenment is not harmful, even though it is a desire. To illustrate that, a story can be told. Some villagers in India that are uneducated, and they believe that if a person is suffering from acid stomach, then that person must have taken a lot of sweetmeats. That was their belief. But what was the antidote for that acid stomach? They used to think that rock candy was an antidote. Rock candy was also sweet, but that rock candy would cure. Even though it is candy, it's sweet, it doesn't harm, but it helps. That is the idea. So the desire to perform unselfish activities, to have the experience of divinity, even though it is a desire, it will not harm. Nowadays, some people who suffer from diabetes, they are asked not to eat sugar. But there are sugar substitutes available. One of them is Splenda. It is sweet. It is sweet, but it is people love to take sugar because sugar is sweet. But ordinary sugar is harmful. But Splenda is not harmful. So also the desire to experience divinity, even though it is a desire, it will not harm. And another benefit of performing such action, which is called selfless action, or in Sanskrit it is called karma yoga. Another effect of it is that a person who performs karma yoga, he becomes liberated from the cycles of repeated births and deaths. That is, every person is, it is a fact recognized by Hinduism, that is born again and again, as long as there is some unfulfilled desire in that departed person's mind. Suppose a person wanted to be the president of this country, but he failed. He could not even become the vice president. He could become the senator. That's all. But after his death, that desire is there in his mind. I have to be the president of the United States of America. And this desire will bring that person back to earth. And he will start striving for it gradually when he grows up. It is our desire, the thought which makes us do things. A child wants to eat some candy. The thought comes to the child's mind and the child goes to its mother and says, "Mommy, I want to have a candy." The desire is making him behave that way. So also an unfulfilled desire will bring a person back to this earth, hoping that this rebirth will help that person to have that desire fulfilled. But the practice of karma yoga liberates a person from repeated births and deaths. Yes, that person after death will not have any more desire. That person will be experiencing divinity. The person's mind is gone. So this practice of performing right action, which is called karma yoga, destroys one's false ego and helps one to be divinity. I have seen some monks in our order. They were performance of right actions. They were karma yogis, as they are called. One such monk was Swami Bhaskarananda, otherwise known as Dwaraka Maharaj. When I saw him, he was about 60 years old, and I was at that time in our headquarters in India, which is the Belur monastery. Very large compound it has. And many trees were also there on that compound. So there was an area which was a courtyard surrounded on three sides by buildings. It was a large courtyard, but in that courtyard there are some trees. The trees would shed leaves on that courtyard. And Dwaraka Maharaj, or Swami Bhaskarananda, would be sitting there. And whenever he would see any dry leaf on the courtyard, he would go and pick it up. It was his self-appointed duty, as it were. Then when asked, he would say, "I do this." Why, Because I was told that God will come and walk on this courtyard. Who is God? His guru was Swami Shivananda, a saintly disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. And he said that when he was relatively young, a senior Swami said to him, this courtyard is often littered with dry leaves of trees. But your Guru Swami Shivananda lives in that building. So when he comes out of his room or when he comes down to this courtyard, he will have to see all this courtyard littered with dry leaves. If you want to serve your Guru, keep this courtyard clean. And according to our scriptures, he used to say, Guru and God are one and the same. There is a saying, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara. Guru is like God. So that's why I clean this courtyard to prepare it for God to come and walk. You may say your Guru has passed away. He has passed away, but his subtle body is there. He is still doing spiritual good to others like us. That's why God is there. I don't want this courtyard to be littered with dry leaves. This is what Dwaraka Maharaj used to say. Had he experienced God by doing this? I believe if the scriptures are correct, then he must have experienced God. Because he was doing that work unselfishly, not for himself but for the sake of God. There was another Swami whom I met when I was in India, in the holy city of Benares. There we have got two centers. One is a monastery center, the other one is a hospital center. There is a charitable hospital. Patients are treated for free. That kind of hospital. And it was Swami Vivekananda who taught the other monks. Swami Vivekananda is the founder of the Ramakrishna Order to which I belong. He taught the monks that they have to serve people looking upon them as a God. That's why this hospital was started by one Swami in Benares. And the Holy Mother Sri Sharada Devi, who is considered a divine incarnation, and she was spiritually married to Sri Ramakrishna, another divine incarnation. And you can see the picture of Sri Ramakrishna behind me. That is his picture. That's behind me. And so she visited Benares once. And the monks said to her, "You have visited the monastery only, but will you not visit that hospital which we run?" Sri Sharada Devi said, "Well, that is not a holy place." Because she had the idea that where the temple is a holy place or something. But even then, the monks prayed to her to have visit that place. She went there, and then she became very different. She very happily started visiting that hospital and different wards and all these things. And after that she said, "I was very happy to have visited this hospital because Sri Ramakrishna appeared before me and very happily showing me around." And that means service to people as divinity. So Sri Ramakrishna thought that was a holy thing, holy place. And there was Swami Muktananda. He worked in the hospital center. For many years, he used to dress the surgical wounds of the devotees who had performed surgery. And he was such an expert that the surgeons would always want him to be there to dress up the patients. His name was Swami Muktananda. Otherwise he was known as Bon Bihari Maharaj. He lived for many years. Every day he would go to the hospital and would give that kind of service. Even when he became very old, somebody in a wheelchair would take him to the hospital, and there he would do that work. That was Swami Muktananda, a saintly soul. What did he get out of giving this service? I am sure the experience of divinity. He's not alive anymore, but I salute him out of respect. And I heard that a young man had just joined the Ramakrishna Order of monks in India. And an elderly Swami told him, "It is good that you have joined, but do you know the name of the monastic order which you have joined?" The young man said, "Yes, sir, I know. It is the Ramakrishna mission." Then the elderly Swami said, "No, it is not Ramakrishna mission, it is Ramakrishna machine." What kind of machine? Ego-crushing machine. You have joined this order, eventually your false ego will be crushed, and then you will become divinity. So this is how, through selfless service or right action, a person can experience divinity. Thank you all. My time is up.